I think they keep all four. You're not cutting a third-round rookie. I don't even think you're cutting Shedeur Sanders. Fifth-round picks don't get cut that often. I think you gave up enough for Kenny Pickett that you want to see that through. Maybe if Flacco is just terrible at training camp, he doesn't make the team. But ultimately, I think they keep four because why not? There's value in that. And I just think that, unfortunately for you guys, I think all four of them are going to start a game this year, at least one. You just look at this Brown schedule, as I know you guys have. Their first 6 games are going 0-6, right? So if you do go 1-5, 0-6, well, you're making a change at that point. Or if you haven't already, you're probably going from Flacco to Pickett. At some point, Pickett's probably not going to be that great. So you go on to a rookie, and then he's probably going to struggle because he's a mid-round rookie, whoever it is, Shedeur or Dillon. And then you might go to the next guy. So I just think that it's going to be quarterback carousel. And I think the Browns' 2026 quarterback is going to be playing on Saturdays this fall anyway.
That is Frank Schwab of Yahoo talking to the guys on Afternoon Drive, just painting a sunny disposition of what he thinks the 2025 Cleveland Browns are going to look like. I don't know if Mary Kay Cabot agrees with him. She's from the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Cleveland.com. She has proverbial boots on the ground over there in Berea. Mary Kay, you heard that clip. What are you thinking in that quarterback situation and how the early part of the season is going to play out?
Well, I could see them possibly keeping 4 quarterbacks for a little while into the season to see if maybe someone might lose a quarterback and try to trade for one of them. So that could possibly happen. And as far as going 0-6, they do have a very, very tough part of the schedule. But I do think that the Nationals are underestimating the Browns roster just a little bit. When I look out there, I do see a little bit more talent than I think some of the Nationals think this Browns team has. And I think that's because of that 3-14 record from last season, which had so much to do with giveaways and quarterback issues. And there will be quarterback issues, of course, again this year. But if they can get clean quarterback play, that's the most important thing. If they can get clean quarterback play where they're not throwing it to the other team all the time, then they should be able to win some games by virtue of the turnover battle.
Okay, the interesting part of this, quote, quarterback competition is that you've got 2 of the veterans. You've got the 2 rookies drafted in the same draft a few rounds apart. So we were wondering, are you getting a legitimate competition all the way around, or are you seeing different ways of attempting to evaluate the veterans versus the rookies?
Well, I'm seeing attempts to evaluate these guys differently, not just divided between veterans and rookies, but between guys that I feel like they're really, really getting ready to either start the season or be the backup, and guys that might not be slated for those roles. Now, it can change, but I'm still looking out there and seeing them trying to get Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel really ready. They're taking the brunt of the install. Those are the guys that are out there getting the most difficult work in terms of what's going to stay in the new offense and what's going to go. I don't see Joe getting as many reps. Nobody does, obviously, because he doesn't need as many reps right now. Shedeur is just starting to work his way up into some more 11-on-11s. So Kenny and Dillon have taken the bulk of the quality reps. They've taken most of the tougher stuff. And that says to me that at this point, they're still trying to get those 2 guys ready.
Mary Kay Cabot on the North Homestead Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram hotline. That's a very interesting part of it, Mary Kay. When it comes to Dillon Gabriel, I want to know, like, not from the Browns' perspective. I know we ask you insider questions all the time. That's why we have you on every week, and we were very appreciative of your time, and you know that. But I kind of want to know, when you talk to people, the fans, do you think that people are more than willing to just, quote unquote, pack the bags of Dillon Gabriel the way it was said in the afternoon? Do you think the fans are really not interested in Dillon Gabriel? The fans, not the organization. We know the organization is.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if it were up to the fans, Joe Flacco would be starting week 1 from everything that I hear every single place that I go in town. Everybody wants to talk to me about Joe Flacco and how excited they are about Joe Flacco being back. I don't think anybody knows Dillon Gabriel. The only thing they know about Dillon Gabriel are the few clips that we're putting out there, or the Browns are putting out there on X. So nobody really knows who this young man is to any great degree. He doesn't come in here with a big name. He doesn't come in here with a lot of flash and razzle dazzle. So they're going to have to get to know him a little bit if this is going to kind of tickle their fancy a little bit as far as him starting or playing games for the Cleveland Browns this year. Shedeur, of course, he comes with his own set of circumstances, the big name, all the flash and all the hype and all that kind of stuff. So fans know who he is, or at least a lot of fans seem to know who he is. So Dylan's kind of flying under the radar, and even Kenny Pickett to a certain extent is flying under the radar. I think from a fan standpoint, it's more about Joe and Shedeur.
Could you, Mary Kay, and do this as responsibly as you could possibly do, could you power rank the quarterbacks in terms of arm strength? Who's number one?
Well, Joe's number one. Joe is number one. And then I think it's sort of debatable about the other three. I think that Dylan and Shedeur have really good arm strength. I think Kenny's got good arm strength. Those three, I don't think there's a huge differentiation amongst those three. Joe is a cut above because we know what Joe can do. But the others have good above average arm strength. Dylan more so than people give him credit for because of his size. Shedeur has nice arm strength, but not tremendous arm strength. And I think you can probably say the same thing about Kenny. I mean, they can all get the ball wherever it needs to go, but they're not going to break your knuckles necessarily.
How did Deontay Johnson fly up the depth chart here over the last week?
Well, once again, we're making up things with the imaginary depth chart. Here's the thing with the receiving core right now, and I'm, kind of kidding about that, but the receiving core is not in a wonderful place right now because Cedric Tillman and Michael Woods are injured. So you could say the same thing about Jamari Thrash. You could say the same thing about Keyshawn Johnson, Cade McDonald, Gage Larvadane. These guys have flown up the depth chart too because they need bodies. And here's the other thing. They're two-spotting, remember, and that's running the simultaneous passing drills. So you've got guys that are working with the first team or the second team that normally wouldn't be. So there's nothing that should be read into that about Deontay Johnson. But the good thing is that he's out there, he's there, he's working. We got to talk to him yesterday. And if he can kind of keep his head together, then they could be onto something with him.
Looking at the wide receiver room right now, Mary Kay, you wouldn't do this. You're a respected journalist, but Lima and I are just wild men. Do you think there's a possibility we could make up a name at the back end of the wide receiver room and that we could say, hey, he's looked so – Billy Farfignugan has looked very good in training camp so far. And do you think we could get people to believe that?
Yes, I do think that you could do that.
Okay, let me take the question further. Can I ask Daryl Ryder about Billy Farfignugan and he'll just freak out and go, Billy, he's gone through the right drills.
He played at Northern Illinois, didn't he?
He knows all the he has impressed this group where he knows all the routes. He knows how to run the proper route. He knows how to read a secondary.
The kid from Ernton.
Yes, he's really surprised them. Do you think I can get Daryl to go along with it?
No, not Daryl. You cannot do that with Daryl because he knows this roster and he's out there watching every single rep every single day. So not Daryl, but you could probably catch a few people.
Well, doesn't mean I ain't going to try, Mary Kay. Lima, go right on ahead.
Mary Kay, it was nice to see Myles Garrett back this week, especially when we seem to be having issues in other AFC North organizations in Cincinnati and in Baltimore. The videos I saw, because I didn't get a great look when I was just standing there and they were practicing, 4 fields over. But the video I've seen with Myles Garrett, I mean, the guy looks like...
You could have gotten closer, but I'm not going to tell everybody who you were sitting there chewing the fat with on the other side of the field. I got a lot closer than you did.
So the just the guy looks like, he's been doing this all offseason. He looks ready to go, ready to roll, but he talked a lot about leadership. Are you buying it coming from Myles Garrett?
Well, when we were at the NFL owners meetings, that's when Jimmy Haslam called for more leadership from Myles. And I asked him how he felt about that from Jimmy. And he said, he put that on me and I'm accepting the challenge. And so I am buying it. I actually think that, when I look at the big picture of it all, I was at least mildly surprised that he didn't come to voluntary OTAs after accepting that challenge from Jimmy Haslam. But that's just not Miles. He's not going to do that. He was in Japan. He does his own thing. That's what those guys are permitted to do. The Browns don't hold it against them. They're not holding it against Miles. But aside from that, I do think that he's going to take up that mantle, and I think he will do everything that they need him to do from a leadership standpoint. And again, as Jim Schwartz said, with great power comes great responsibility. So he also challenged him to have his best season ever. And I can see that Miles does have a bit of a new resolve.
Our buddy Nathan Zagura was with us last Friday. He said that they intend to have a tougher training camp in 2025. I ask you, it's been 6 years. We're going into year 6 with Kevin Stefanski. Is it too late for him to turn it up on the training camp intensity?
No, not at all. It's not too late, and you can see it. And in addition to the fact that they have turned up the tempo and they've increased the amount of reps and they're running dual passing skills and stuff like that, they've also completely overhauled their health and performance staff. So this goes hand in hand. Not only do they plan to be tougher, more calloused mentally and physically, but they've also overhauled their training staff, their nutrition, all of that kind of stuff. So they said after the season they were going to look at everything. They have looked at everything. I think in the past they were very, very analytics driven in the health and wellness piece. I think more so now they're just maybe going a little bit more old school. I know Bubba mentioned last year they needed to be tougher and play harder with more effort and intensity. I know that Mike Vrabel instilled that in them. I wrote about this the other day, a whole story about the intensity piece. And I do think that I don't think it's too late by any stretch.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us. I want to play a snippet of audio here for you and just either confirm or disconfirm a suspicion I have. Here is Nick Chubb yesterday talking about him going to the Houston Texans. Lima, Owen, roll that tape.
I was questioning why they wanted me. And then I came here and I saw a bunch of guys who like to work and not talk. And I realized that I'm a perfect fit. So I realized why they wanted me here. And I'm excited about it.
All right. Mary Kay, that's not telling, right? Like he's just talking about his new teammates, right? He's not talking about his old teammates at all there. Just making sure.
You know what? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he is talking only about his new teammates there, because Nick doesn't seem to me to be the kind of guy that's going to take a shot at his old team. And he loved the Cleveland Browns and he loved his teammates here. So I'm not going to put that on him. Of course, I'm sure he's hurt that he's not here, but I don't think that he was taking a shot there.
Wanted to make sure, Mary Kay, and that's why I asked the vaunted journalist and the Bill Nunn Award winner, Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, we thank you very much for the time. All the best.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.